Welcome to today's tutorial. My name is Hendrik from Vintage Mod Watch, and I will show you how to oil fill your quartz dive watch or hydromod it. The watch I'll hydromod today is an Addiesdive MY H3 Submariner style quartz watch. Stainless steel case, ceramic bezel, strong and long lasting loom, and a Miyota movement for around 35 bucks is just insane in my opinion. I removed the bezel before the video to save some time, but I can recommend the bezel removal tutorial from a Long Island watch where he used grip solvent, I think. You may ask yourself why remove the bezel for a hydromod. So the watch will be completely submerged in oil in the process, so oil will get everywhere and will be very hard to clean off. Your wrist will get oily, for example, for the next days if not cleaned properly. That's what we want to get ahead of. As you can see, the watch already looks quite nice with a glossy dial, but it does not have a really good legibility from an angle yet. So now I will show you what we need for this project. We need tweezers, just cheap ones because they will get oily and dirty. Caseback opener for Submariner style watches or Rolex in general, I think. A waterproof pen for marking the caseback, more on that later, and of course dust removal to have a clean working environment. Any dust inside an oil fill watch will be very hard to get rid of. Then you need a small box with a lid or cover to keep dust off of the oil surface. The box should be big enough to hold two watches side by side. It also needs to be transparent so you can see through it from below. You also need some kind of funnel, but it's not necessary if the oil is brand new. Now, most importantly, you obviously need silicone oil. Every other mineral oil will damage the gaskets on your watch over time, so we need pure silicone oil with the lowest viscosity you can get for a fair price to reduce resistance for the hands. Many say 50 CST is enough, but I recommend 20 CST because it's a little more fluid. So now we have to mark the caseback so we don't over tighten it when everything is looped up with oil at the end. And then we will get rid of the stickers. After that I will put on gloves. As you can see, there's only one sticker on these watches, the caseback sticker. So now I will open the caseback, which comes off quite easily from the factory. It's not really tight. Don't open it all the way. We set the watch aside with the caseback still on top to minimize dust particles getting into it. And we will start to line the work surface with multiple layers of paper towels to soak up spilled oil. Trust me, the oil will get anywhere if you aren't careful. Now we are dusting off the box and clean the watch itself. Everything should be as clean as possible before coming into contact with oil. So as you can see, I'm trying to filter raw particles out of the oil. Again, this isn't necessary if you have brand new and unused oil. So let's speed it up a little bit. Set the funnel aside. So there's our oil inside the box. That's where we will submerge the watch later. It's time to open the watch. And after that you will see that I will remove the gasket and the crown. And of course the movement holder, which holds everything in place. So let's cover the box to keep dust and other particles away from the oil. So as I said, remove the gasket first and remove the crown. There's a small push button inside which releases the stem and crown. Be careful not to touch delicate parts of the movement. And then I will remove the movement holder. Now, finally comes the part where we submerge the watch into the oil. So, you will see that there are coming bubbles out of the watch, but wait some time to let all of the bubbles out. Watch out for the tiniest bubbles. This can take some minutes, but then we lift up the dial a couple of times. In the video it looks like I'm touching the coil with my tweezers, but it just looks like it through the oil. Again, make sure not to touch anything and just lift the dial up from the side of the movement. Now we will put everything back together. First, I will submerge the movement holder and the gasket and crown. While of course making sure that there are no bubbles trapped under the holder, for example. I will now insert the crown inside the watch and movement just to align the movement before I put the movement holder back in. Obviously, after you put the movement holder inside the case, the movement won't move anymore. Move around inside the caseback. So you will hear 2 clicks if the crown is inserted properly. I will remove the crown again after everything is in place, just to leave an opening for the oil to exit for when I screw the case back on. If this is not done, too much pressure will build up in the case, and as we all know, liquids cannot be compressed. So you will just push the crystal out of the front with every turn of the case back. This will even happen if the crown is in time setting position inside the case. So now that the movement holder is in place, as I said, I will remove the crown again. Now I will submerge the case back into the oil while making sure that there is no air trapped under it. Here obviously comes the transparent case in handy, so you can see if there are any bubbles inside the caseback from below. This will also take some time. If done properly, just reach under it with your finger and force out the bubbles. So put the gasket where it belongs inside the case and make sure it sits in its groove, because everything is very slippery. This part is quite difficult. Ensure that the gasket is seated correctly, as this is obviously a liquid-filled watch. Now the caseback comes back on. Screw it counterclockwise until you hear a click from the threads to avoid cross threading, and from now on start turning clockwise, closing the case till you reach the markings you made before. You can see them in a minute lined up. So as you can see, we're almost done. Now I will start to press down the screw down mechanism a couple of times to let air bubbles out of it, just to make sure there's no air trapped inside. And I will start to insert the crown for the last time. Be careful, and of course make sure to insert it straight into the case until you hear those two clicks again. So then I just screw it down and we are done for the most part. I'm now checking for dust or any other imperfections. As you can see, it looks absolutely stunning in my opinion. The dial just shines and it's just clear, and you can see the dial from every angle. So here we are with the degreased watch. I just used some dishwashing liquid and rinsed it all off. It's important not to use hot water because the oil inside will expand under the heat and it'll push out the crystal. Because of the missing bezel, cleaning the case was quite simple. The dial now looks clearer and you can still tell the time even when looking from an angle. Almost like a screen or a display, I think. So I will now quickly show you how to put the bezel assembly back together without my voiceover. You can skip this, of course, if it's not necessary for your type of watch or you didn't disassemble it in the beginning. In the end, I will show the finished watch with the bezel on top. See you there. So we are coming to an end with this video. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions about hydromodding or this Addiesdive in general, feel free to use the comment section. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel, as I will try to make more interesting videos about watch modding in the future. Until then.